In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove your old non-working garbage disposal and install a brand new one. This one never worked. I just moved in here about a month ago and it just is stuck. It's frozen. So you flip the switch and nothing. So before you replace yours, however, there's a couple things. On the bottom of the garbage disposal, there's this little keyhole here that you can put an Allen wrench up there and try and knock this loose. And actually, your new garbage disposal should come with one. Looks just like this. You can use a regular Allen key, but this works the best. You would just put this up there and try and break it free, but this one is just so old and rusted that it is not going to work. Also, let's say you try and flip the switch and nothing happens. You've checked the breaker's on. You might not know that there is a reset button down here that you just push, because when this heats up, it'll flip this and you won't get any power. So with that being said, if you need to replace your garbage disposal, I'm going to show you how. But also, if you are not comfortable doing this, and if this video does not give you the confidence to do this, don't do it. Call a plumber. Call an electrician, because there is some electrical here. I know some people do not like to play with electrical, and I don't blame them. But I'm going to show you how to do it. Here we go. Alright, here's kind of a rundown of the items you're going to need. You're going to need a new garbage disposal and all the stuff that comes with it. You got your drain plug, goes in here. This goes on top of the sink. This piece does, and then this piece actually holds the garbage disposal on the bottom. Comes with your discharge pipe. It goes on the side here. Some washers, screws, your tool that I was telling you about. Tools that you'll need: flathead screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, groove jaw pliers, hammer, and assorted putty knives, and I have some chisels here that I'm going to use. Other things, one of these 3/8, I call it Romex connector, but they're actually here, clamp, 3/8 clamp connector. You're going to need that for the bottom where the electrical is. Surprisingly, they don't give you that. You're also going to need some plumber's putty. Also, it's a good idea to have a couple old towels and a bucket like that one that's underneath it, because this does tend to get a little nasty. First step is to disconnect the power. Now, I am by myself right now, so this is going to be a little trickier than it would be with two people. So what you would do, if there was two people, you'd send one of them to the basement and have one person trying this up here, and flipping breakers. Hopefully it's labeled and you only have to do it once. But I do not have that luxury, so luckily there's a plug here, and I'm hoping that it's on the same circuit, or I'm guessing it's on the same circuit. So I'm running an extension cord to the basement. I'm going to plug this light in, and when it goes off, hopefully that will be the breaker. Alright, I got my light plugged in. The panel's right here. I found a switch right here. It says kitchen something or other. So I guess I'll start there. 15, it's a 20 amp, could be it. And the light just went off. So, like I said, if your panel's wired, or if your panel is labeled rather, it's going to make it a lot easier. So we'll go up here and see if that switch is wired with this plug. And that's a no. So let's try something else. So I'll flip this back on. that is not it. It's actually not a bad thing that that's on a different circuit because it does tend to draw a lot of power. So basically, you're gonna have to just flip breakers. It's not gonna be on a double pull like this, like these two 40 amps or these two 30 amps. Those are things like your dryer. This one is a stove. It says range on it. It's always nice when people label the panels. So after a little bit of exercise of up and down the stairs, I found the breaker. It's a 20 amp breaker. The electrical is off. I'm gonna take this bucket out of the way for now, throw down my towel. For starters, we're gonna disconnect the dishwasher discharge hose. Mine is held on by a Phillips head screw right here. You don't have to remove that completely, just loosen it. There's a nut on the back on mine. Yours might be different. Take that. It might be stuck on a little bit, so you might want to use your pliers here. Carefully grab the hose and give it a little twist. You can remove that. Hold your bucket. There's going to be some water in there. Now you can take this. You should be able to loosen it by hand. It's your discharge pipe there. I'll just loosen that so it's ready. So just a quick piece of information before I show you this next part. This is out now, but I neglected to say that you should be removing this piece here. You take these flathead screws out, and then this piece pops right off, and that way you can remove this without having to bend pipes. But mine has this little crazy flex joint on it, which isn't really the right way to do it, but it works for this procedure, so that's the way that I'm going to show you that I did it. But you're going to want to take these screws off and let this hang, and you can even take this off and then remove this, and you'll see what I'm talking about with the next clips. Okay. Now you can take your tool that comes with your new garbage disposal and hook it into one of these eyelets here. You want to turn that clockwise while holding the bottom of your garbage disposal, because this is going to fall. That wasn't on there very tight. So now pull this down a little bit. Be very careful not to break your pipes here. You want to support that and try and lift up. You can push that pipe down a little bit. It has a little flex, but you don't want to go crazy. Lift up. Pull that right out there. Now we can remove the electrical at the bottom here. This little Phillips head screw that holds this panel on. Remove that panel. And pull these wires out. I like to have one of these testers handy, just in case. You never know with electrical, the way things are wired. So you just push it up against the wire, buzzes or beeps. So take the black wire here, put it against that. You see there's no beeping or anything, so that wire is not live. Unscrew these wire nuts. I didn't mention that you're going to need wire nuts, but if these are in good shape, which they usually are, depending on how old they are, you can reuse them. Take a flat blade screwdriver, loosen this ground screw, get that off without removing the screw completely, and you can pull your wires through. Now we're going to remove the mounting ring here, the old one. You can probably reuse this if you buy the same type of garbage disposal, and this one's really not in bad shape, but I'm going to take it off and put the new one on since I have it, and I'll show you how to do it. You want to loosen these 3 flathead studs here. Up in here, there's this ring right here. You can see it, it's called a snap ring. You want to take your flathead screwdriver and try and pry that down and out. So this will push up as you go. You can pry it. You should be able to grab this, pull that down, and this piece right here. Push that up and pull that out. Might be a good idea to take some paper towels or a rag and put it in the drain here. As we're gonna take off all this old plumber's putty. Scrape it off. That's what the putty knife and chisels were for. If you have smaller putty knives, that is the best. But I don't have anything smaller than this. So just scrape that. Get the big stuff off. You want to wipe this down. Get this as clean as you can. Dry it off. Make sure it's nice and dry before you put the new putty in there. Okay, your old garbage disposal is out, and you're ready to install your new one. You want to take this mounting ring, flip it over. There's these 3 screws that you want to loosen up. You're going to want to do the same thing with this. Pop this little ring out. And it goes flying. Take these pieces apart, set them down. They're going to go back on in the same order. And you want to take your plumber's putty, open that up, and just take a big glob of it. You want to make something like this. A long roll. You want to take your plumber's putty, wrap it around this flange here. Try and get it somewhat even. It's not perfect. That's okay. Just make sure there's enough there. So it looks something like this. Take this flange. Set it onto your clean sink there. Push it down, and if you see putty coming out the sides, that's a good sign. That means you're gonna get a good seal. You're gonna want to put a little weight on the top of this flange up here. While you work down here, you're gonna want to put these pieces in the same order that you took them apart, like this. This. Grab your flathead screwdriver and try and separate this ring. Hook on the back side so that the split is hanging down and that the loop is already hooked into the groove, and try and hold one side of that ring, separate the other by pulling it, pushing it up. So now it's hooked around there. Now just push that side all the way up with your flathead screwdriver. Now you can see it's completely locked into place. Now you can go around and tighten these screws, or these studs. You go around and tighten them a little at a time. Keep rotating. As you screw these in, you're going to notice that plumber's putty is going to start to seep out around the edges, and that is a good thing, because that means you have a good seal. No water is going to leak. With your new garbage disposal, this inlet here is for a dishwasher, and it's sealed. If you do not have a dishwasher that you're connecting to this, you're going to want to leave that. It's very important, because this will be leaking all over the place. So otherwise, you want to take a flathead screwdriver and a hammer and tap that through. Make sure you break that piece off completely and fish it out before you install your garbage disposal. And we can lay the garbage disposal back in here, and we're going to connect the electrical. Just lay it in place here and take this Phillips head screw off. Looks like this one you can just loosen and that panel comes off. You want to take one of your clamp connectors and take this piece right off. Then make this so you can just line this up and screw it into place. I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver and just tap it with your hammer on the side here, just to tighten it. You might need to loosen these screws, make it easier to get the wires through. Now you can lift this up, feed your wires in, use a screwdriver to help you fish those out of there. Here are the wires for the garbage disposal. Now you want to make your connections here. Black is hot. We'll connect that first. You can reuse your wire nuts, but I'm going to use new ones. Tighten that up. So just take the black to black, tighten it up. Take your ground wire and tuck it to this grounding screw. You want to loop it so that it turns tighter. So we're looping it this way, so when we turn it clockwise, this ground wire will tighten up on the stud. Go ahead and tighten that up. Neutral, line that up. Put the cap on. Tighten that nice and tight. Now you want to tuck all your wires in this little compartment and pull this wire out just a little bit. Tighten up these Phillips head screws. The reason you need this connector here, this clamp connector, is because you do not want vibration of this garbage disposal to make these wires vibrate and rub against a sharp metal surface like this hole that was here. That's why you definitely want to use a clamp connector. For some reason they don't supply it. Maybe they will in the future. Let me know if you come across any that do supply it with it. Ensure that your wires are connected nice and tight. Nothing's coming loose. You can reinstall this plate cover. Line it up. Tighten that down with the Phillips head screwdriver. So we got these little hooks here on top of the garbage disposal, right here, that are gonna line up and go in here, and we're gonna turn the garbage disposal, or we're gonna turn this flange to tighten up the garbage disposal. So make sure your discharge is lined up with your drain so that when you put this on, lines up properly. Line your garbage disposal up, line up those hooks, make sure all three are lined up there. Turn your garbage disposal so that it's even with the drain, and tighten that up by hand as much as you can. Don't go crazy. That's why there's a tool that comes with this. So now you take your handy tool here, hook it in like you did to remove the old one, and tighten that up. Now your garbage disposal's hung. And you want to take your drain pieces here, and this pipe looks like it was the same. Sometimes you have to cut these down, but this will work fine because it is the same length. We'll take these. Do not forget the rubber washer here. Climb under here. Unfortunately, this is at a tough angle. Take my paper towels out here. Make sure that this piece goes back into the drain. It came out when we took the garbage disposal out, but this is the way that it goes in, like this. Might as well put this piece back in. Now you can take your rubber washer, make sure that sits in there nice. Take this piece, put it around your discharge tube like so. Now you want to feed this pipe down, and then make sure it goes in past that washer that's inside there, and this will line up with that rubber washer. I'm going to take your screws, just get those in, one on each side by hand. Now you can tighten those down with your flathead screwdriver. Do this evenly on each side. Make sure your drain is in the right position. Mine has a flex joint on it, so I'm going to make sure that it's pitched, and then I'm going to tighten this up. You really don't want to crank too hard on this, or you will break it, or at least break the threads, and it will not seal properly. That feels good. Now you want to, if you have a dishwasher hose, you want to connect that. Make sure that's fully seated. I'm going to tighten that up with my Phillips head screwdriver. Clean off any of the crap that you got on it. Now you can take the excess putty. It comes right off. Throw that away, or take it in a ball, put it back in your putty container, save it for your next job. We have our electrical hooked up. We're nice and tight here. We have our dishwasher inlet hooked up, and we have our drain hooked up. We're nice and tight here. Now we can flip our breaker back on. And a moment of truth. Flip the switch. We got a garbage disposal. Alright. Wasn't too bad. Hopefully this video helped you out. Make sure you subscribe. I'm planning on doing a lot more home repairs, as I did by an old house, as you can see by the lovely flooring here. So be sure to subscribe, like this video, share it, you know the deal. Comment in the section below, and let me know if you have any suggestions besides repairing this pipe that has electrical tape on it, which I will be doing. Alright guys, thank you.